Hi, it's RJ from Ellis Family Motorcycle and ATV Repair with a how-to video with you today and a little tool review all at the same kind of time. Alright, what we're doing today is this is easy on some stuff and very hard on others. Alright, what we have here is a used carburetor off an ATV. Alright, it's junk. But what I'm here to show you today is how to get to this air screw right here. What the air screw does is control the air mixture at low speed. And sometimes you need to open it up to let more air in, which gives you more fuel, or tighten it up, which lessens the air in the carburetor and gives you less fuel. That's what gives you your color on your spark plug. Black is too rich, white is too lean, and you want generally a nice gold brown color. If you have some hesitation at idle when you crank the throttle, a lot of times you got to open up the air screw. Now, what comes to be the problem is generally this screw is you turn it to set them, you turn them all the way in. Oh, this one wasn't turned out very well, and you just snug it. You do not tighten it. You do not crank it because you will break it. Because I'll show you what's in here, I guess. Now these all look a little different depending on I don't know if the camera will pick that little fine piece. There it goes. There we go. Just a little fine needle, and then there's a spring, and the washer and O-ring is gonna stay down. Oh, there we go. Almost lost it. And then there's a spring in there, and then there's a washer and an O-ring in there. So if you tighten that too tight, you'll break that right off, and I'm telling you that's not fun to get replaced. And that goes, there is, in the fluid of this carburetor, there's a little hole right there. That's where you get your air from. And that'll break off in there, and you got to try to figure out how to drill it out or junk the carburetor. So, anyway, so you put that back in there. And when I rebuild these, I always put them out about a turn and a half. That generally gets you close. Generally, either you got to go in a half a turn or you got to go out a half a turn, generally. Generally, anywhere from a turn out to 2 turns out. There are times where it's not, but most of the time on something that's stock. So if you look at my screwdriver there, there's an orange mark on there. So what I generally do is, so that's snug. So then we turn around. That is 1 full turn. And then if we want to do a half, we just bring it to the other side. Just like so. That's all fine and dandy when you got the carburetor off the bike. Now this isn't generally a problem on ATVs. A lot of times you have room to get to them. Sometimes you can't get into them thanks to the U.S. government. They put a brass cover over top of them, and you have to drill that brass cover off to be able to get to this screw. So the carburetor has to come off anyway to even get to it. But your V-twins or your V4s or whatnot, when you go to adjust that, generally they're in a pretty tight spot. So how do we get to it? Well, we got a couple different options. We can do it with a normal screwdriver. I have some shorter ones. I have this little flat-headed screw, driver deal. And maybe you might better get your hand up in there, but it's sometimes where this is sitting in there, you can't get your hand in there. Let's use this vise and kind of pretend like it's a four-wheeler chassis and there's stuff in the way. Just to change. But, you know, let's say there was something in the way and you got to try to get it up in there, find what street is, and then count the turns. It can be a little bit of a pain. I also have this version, which I have used, and it just has got a Milwaukee bed into it. I've used this one because I needed the length, and I could get in there in hand. And then it's got a quarter drive into it on the other end. I haven't really used that per se, but I've turned it like that. The other way is Motion Pro makes another little kit. Now there'll be a link below for this kit down there. These one, I have no idea where I got this from. And this, I believe I got from Menards. And then I just used a Milwaukee bed into it. But this is another Motion Pro kit. And it's got a quarter drive head into it. And then it's got some longer ones into it. And then it's got a little hexed bit into it. Or you got a deal, you got a little flat head on one end on this one. And you can put it together. And you might better get up in there and find the right distance and whatnot to get to the air screw. But like this here, let's say that was a bracket or the starter or something that was sitting in there, which is very, very common. You can't get in there. So now what do we do? Well, we can't. Those kind of stink to get in there. Well, this is the coolest tool of them all. Clean up our mess here. This is a 90 degree screwdriver. And makes this one really nice is this head here. It is ultra small. There's some other ones out there, but they come down on a long hoop because they got a keyboard going in there. But this has got gears, all right? Now, Motion Pro is a very good brand. They make a lot of special tools for small, well, that's the power sports, ATV, used TVs. They make a lot of special tools. All right. And it's got all kinds of different bits. It's got the little flat head, which is probably what I use the most. Then it's got a deal so you can hook a little quarter drive socket to it. And then this is, I believe, just like an 8mm hex. A screwdriver that we just made. It was just a cheap deal, and we must have needed the length at one time, and it just sat in there. Phillips head. Gotta say, I don't think I've ever used it. And this one gets used every once in a while. It's a half moon bit. All right. So what you do with this, you put that in there. This has got marks onto it. There's a line there, and a line there, and I believe this comes. See, there's the lines. There you go. I believe there's supposed to be a row of numbers here to tell you what the quarter of the turns in. I don't think we ever put the numbers onto it because, quite frankly, I've never ever really needed it. Generally, I only need to go a click or 2 clicks one way or another, and you do it all by here mostly. So then all you have to do is get in there. Now, see, this one isn't quite long enough to get in there. So now what do we do? Well, unfortunately, the kit that they gave you here, but you could go to this other Motion Pro set and you get that other bit. It's got a little extra long deal onto it. This one still isn't quite long enough. So, we're going to go to this Milwaukee bit. All right, there we go. line that up with the screw. And let me see here. We'll get you guys kind of move back a little bit farther here. So it's in that, I pulled out of it. It's in that screw. And now I'm able to turn it in or turn it out. And you can count your turns the same way. You can take a marker and mark it there, or you can count your turns on the clicks. And there's a preset to each click. Each line here is got a click, so it stops. And that's well good enough. See, each click is that much, which is just perfect for adjusting a carburetor. So that's what we have for you today. That's how you adjust the air screw on your ATV or little dirt bikes. Little mini bikes are the same deal. Now the air screws in different spots and different stuff. Some of them are on exactly right on the side of the carburetor. Those are really nice. All you have to do is get a screwdriver onto them, and they are really nice. Later on in life, they started to make them harder and harder to get to, mainly because of emissions. Because if you richen them up too much, they're burning really rich and whatnot. And with the government these days, when they check those at the line, they want to be able to say these meet emission laws. So that air screw only controls the pilot jet, which is your jet for idle. And when you turn them, most of the time you can hear in the motor what it's doing. If you're riching it up a little bit, you might even have to turn down your idle and whatnot, and you generally you can hear them. But there's always a preset in your owner's manual that tells you at least where to start at. So you'll have to look that up for your model. But that's what we have for you today. Well, of course, there's going to be links in the description for these tools. There's going to be a link for this 90-degree tool in the description, excuse me there. And for this little kit here, in the description below. I've used all this stuff every make is a little bit different of what is the easiest to get in there. So I've used them all, but this 90-degree tool has been used a lot in the shop to adjust carburetors. I've been asked many times, well, how do you get into that? How do you adjust those screws? Because a lot of people are trying to do it with a little bitty screwdriver. They don't even have anything like this, and they can't get their hand in there. The motor's really hot, and they're burning on it, or they're burning their hand on it. And I'm like, well, you gotta get yourself one of these. Or they do have a 90-degree one, and you'll see if you go and look this up. They're generally really big, and a lot of times you can't get in there. There's not enough room. But this, for Motion Pro, is a good screwdriver, or good 90-degree screwdriver. All right, let's wrap this up. So links below. Please like, share, and ring the bell so you get all the notifications for when we do new videos, or new how-to videos. I'm sure in the future we'll do a video with a carburetor on a machine, and we can show you how to adjust that air screw. Sorry for the small, it is a little cold out here in the shop. I can't run the heater and make YouTube videos at the same time. So like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, look for the links below, and we'll catch you on the next one, and keep on wrenching.